So once you rule, you're still a hero ruler. You're very much like the captain in Star Trek. You know, whether it be Picard or whether it be Kirk, they were always sort of having to go down to the planet's surface and sort things out yourself. It's very much the same. So after you, in the journey to rule, you're still a hero. You're still gaining support of the factions. You're having to fight very much like what you did in Fable 1. Well, that doesn't change when you become ruler. You can still lead your people in battle. You can still, you know, go and visit and have a royal visit to certain places within Albion. And then, you know, this is very much how Queen Victoria in England ran her rule. She was forever going around and visiting people. I'm not saying that Queen Victoria had a, you know, big sword and plate armor. She wasn't quite like that, but she certainly went out to the people. She is still there, but where you are does make things better, and you must, of course, decide after you know the truth which of these promises you're going to keep, and what you're going to be doing with your kingdom's gold. Now, one of the things that you can do with all this gold in your treasure chamber is you can decide where to allocate it. You know, again, you may have seen these injustices that are out there while you're on the journey to rule, but you may say, well, I'm going to build up a certain region, or you know, these people were really poor. I'm going to visit those people, and I'm going to, you know, give them money. I'm going to let them off of all taxes. And we were inspired by some of these images. Now, this image is very, you know, it's a very beautiful scene, and it's very lovely, but there's a lot of wealth here. Now, what are you going to do with that? With that land that's there, are you going to just let that wealth exist there? Or, you know, this is basically one person's back garden. And you should recognize certain things from this concept shot. In fact, this is a region called Bower Lake. You can recognize the old Hero Hill here, but there's a new house there. What are you going to do with that? Some things are going to happen there, which again are going to pull things up in your rule. Let's move to the next slide. The other thing is about the land of Albion, you know, 50 years has moved on. It's got a lot more industrial. Bowerstone has continued to grow. And just like in England and many European cities, you know, that's when poverty really came in. You've now got industrial districts, and those industrial districts is where a lot of poverty, a lot of injustice, a lot of crime takes place. What are you going to do about that? You know, what are you going to do about some fundamental questions in this land? I mean, some of your decisions may well turn this into far more of a utopian place, because we are bringing back, and we're doing far more of these things called dynamic regions. The idea that your decisions can change the course of the whole land, I think was good in Fable 2, but in Fable 3, once you're king, it really starts making sense. If you start overtaxing those regions, then you're going to see a big difference. What are you going to do with your castle? Are you going to build it up? Are you going to develop it? Are you going to expand it? Are you going to spend the hard-earned money on making it more beautiful? Certainly your spouse is going to want you to. Or are you going to let it go to wreck and ruin a little bit and spend the money on the poor? I think, again, those questions are really, 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 really strong. And it's not just Albion that with this time. A very good portion of this game is set in places that you've never seen before. And I'm not going to say much about this. The only thing is, remember that line, expect the unexpected. Don't expect that you've seen everything of Albion. In fact, Albion is just one small continent in the world of Fable. And we'll be unveiling more of that world in Fable 3 for sure. So, there's the story. The next thing is that I'd like to just share with you is some of the efforts that we're going to make this dramatic. Now, Fable 2, I think there were some memorable moments in the Fable 2 story, but I think we were still learning the art of what we were trying to do. And what we really, really want to get to is, and I'm sure every developer says this, we want to make a memorable story. That's what every single developer says. But this time, for me, we really are taking it seriously, and we've taken very new steps, and I'm not sure I've heard of anybody taking similar steps before. So firstly, we've been inspired by a lot of historic events. We've gone through revolutionaries and leaders and kings and queens through history throughout the world. I mean, for example, there's an amazing, incredible tale. If anyone is interested, look up at the tale of what's happened in Oman, in the Middle East, in the last 100 years. It's absolutely fascinating. It almost fits perfectly what we're trying to do. There was these two brothers that were, literally one brother seemed to be, wanting to hold Oman back, and this other brother rebelled and overthrew the older brother. I mean, it was like a story in itself. You only have to look at some plays of Shakespeare to see some great inspiration. Some of the kings and queens in England and France, and indeed in Germany, some of the emperors. I think there's fantastic inspiration. And I tell you what, when you actually start investigating that, the amount of intrigue, backstabbing, just terrible events that went on over the last 1,000 years just in Europe is almost unbelievable. And so, getting that into the drama of the story is really important.